You know more than you let on. But when someone calls you smart, you laugh it off. You say, "It's not a big deal," or "I just got lucky." And later, alone, you wonder why it felt safer to shrink than to simply say, "Thank you." What are you protecting yourself from? You do this in small moments. In meetings, you soften your opinions. In conversations, you pretend you just kind of heard about it. When someone praises your insight, you quickly redirect. It's subtle, but it's consistent. And over time, it shapes your identity. You become easygoing, low-key, the humble one. But inside, there's tension, because part of you wants to be fully expressed, and another part pulls you back. This isn't random. In personality psychology, this pattern often overlaps with high agreeableness and high social sensitivity. You're deeply attuned to how others feel, and somewhere along the way, you learned something powerful. Being visibly intelligent changes the social temperature. It can create distance, comparison, envy. So your brain quietly asks, is it worth the risk? You don't consciously think this, but you feel it. A tightening in your chest, a slight hesitation before speaking, and you choose safety. But why does your nervous system treat intelligence like a social threat? First, you are not insecure in the way you think. You are adaptive. Your brain is designed to prioritize belonging over self-expression. From an evolutionary perspective, social rejection once meant real danger. Isolation could reduce survival. So if younger you experienced moments where being too smart led to teasing, dismissal, or subtle withdrawal, your nervous system took notes. It built a rule. Visibility equals risk, and shrinking became protection. What looks like false humility is often social self-preservation. You are not broken, you are patterned. But patterns can be understood, and once understood, they loosen. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. Your brain runs on prediction. The prefrontal cortex generates thoughts and ideas, but the amygdala scans for social threat. If past experiences linked intelligence with disconnection, the amygdala flags similar situations. Even mild praise can activate it, not as panic, but as subtle alertness. Think of it like a thermostat. When the room gets too warm with attention, your internal system cools it down. You downplay, you deflect. This is emotional regulation through self-minimization. There's also something called impression management in social psychology. Humans constantly adjust how they present themselves to maintain group harmony. For you, intelligence became something to manage, so your brain formed a simple mental model. If I lower myself, I stay connected. But here's the hidden cost. Every time you shrink, your identity splits. There's the outer version, agreeable, modest, and the inner version, sharper, quieter, slightly resentful. That tension builds, and eventually you feel unseen, not because others ignore you, but because you're editing yourself. So how do you stop without becoming arrogant or socially disconnected? This isn't about owning your brilliance. It's about recalibrating safety. 1. Notice the micro-shrink. What to do? Catch the exact moment you downplay, the laugh, the "it's nothing." Why it works? Bringing awareness activates the prefrontal cortex, reducing automatic amygdala responses. Example, in a meeting, when someone compliments your idea, pause instead of deflecting. Just notice the urge. Awareness interrupts autopilot. 2. Replace deflection with containment. What to do? Instead of minimizing, say a neutral acknowledgement. "Thank you, I put a lot of thought into it." Why it works? You're teaching your nervous system that visibility doesn't equal rejection. This creates new predictive coding in the brain. Example, a friend says, "You're really good at explaining things." You respond calmly, without joking it away. Small rewrites reshape neural expectations. 3. Test safety in small doses. What to do: share one unfiltered idea per day. Why it works: gradual exposure reduces threat sensitivity, similar to behavioral therapy principles. Example: offer your full perspective in a discussion instead of summarizing it into something softer. Your brain learns through experience, not theory. 4. Separate intelligence from superiority. What to do: remind yourself intelligence is a tool, not a hierarchy. Why it works: reframing reduces social comparison anxiety, lowering threat activation. Example: instead of thinking, "They'll think I'm showing off," reframe it as, "I'm contributing information." Contribution feels safer than competition. Here's the simple model. Your brain chose belonging over brightness, not because you lacked confidence, but because connection mattered more. Now you're not choosing between the two. You're teaching your system that you can be intelligent and connected. Brightness doesn't have to burn relationships, it can warm them. And the more consistently you show up without shrinking, the more your nervous system relaxes. Not all at once, but slowly. You don't need to become louder. You don't need to prove anything. Just stop erasing the parts of you that think deeply and see clearly, because the world doesn't just need agreeable versions of you. It needs your full mind. And maybe the real risk was never being seen as smart. Maybe the real risk was never being seen at all.